var lite trångt.
Ja, men det hörs ändå. Isär, ja.
Som du tar det. Ja, jag tycker om du tycker lite till.
Så alltså.
Kör nu då.
Please, everyone, welcome to the stage Wikipedia founder Jimmy Wales.
I have to get my friend up here. Yay. Okay, hello. Hello. Great. Well, I would say welcome to Wikimania, but we're getting very, very close to the end, sadly. As you know, this segment of the program is largely ceremonial when I do a few traditional things. And so to introduce that, the first thing I'm going to do is call to the stage Farad. He was the 2018 Wikimedian of the Year, and he's going to say a few remarks about the past year and about the movement. Farad.
Hello, Jimmy. Hello. Well, dear friends, dear colleagues, dear community here and far away listening and watching this live or sometime in recording. Over the course of last year, I was trying to be, I guess, a proper goodwill ambassador for the movement, for respective values. And I am looking forward to Jimmy passing on this wonderful burden to someone else, whom we will see eventually on stage. You see, I put the short link to whatever I have done during this Wikimania. You can find whatever I intended to say there originally. Obviously, some anxiety, etc. Here on stage would reflect on me. I would probably have to recognize first the job that our previous representatives have done, be it Felix before, then it was Rosie, it was Emily, as well as remember that Wikimedian of the Year is recognition for the contribution that each and every one of us makes today, yesterday, as well as in the future, in whatever projects that we have here, in whatever languages. The topic of this Wikimania being sustainable development, stronger together, free knowledge, obviously reminds us about all the important aspects that we have to keep in mind, and the main thing is the sustainability of ourselves whenever we do whatever on our projects, not to overburden ourselves on one side, at the same time try to do something that would help others. Sustainability of our communities on our project, sustainability of the movement, sustainability of whatever relationships that we have in real life. And whoever will be named by Jimmy next will have to be dealing with this and rethinking with what the vision means for the person and how to play this balancing act together. Obviously, throughout this period, may I have maybe a next slide if I can? Jimmy, may you please help me? Thank you. Throughout this period, we will need to be thinking about the sustainability of many things and the free knowledge, which is not yet reflected. You probably recognize the map, and it shows the elements. I think it's a Wikidata elements. But we remember that if we want to reach the vision, we want A, them to be in all languages. B, we want whole of the world shining. As well as C, we want to be feeling the ownership and belonging to all these cultures, to all these projects, each and every one of us. And that's obviously a long-term important goal. And for this, we obviously need more resources than us volunteers of today. And that's where, I guess, my personal vision comes in, that we want every human living on planet Earth being a Wikimedian that contributes, and obviously there is a task how we get there. And may I have the next slide on screen? And that's where each and every one of us, dear Wikimedians, come on stage. We need to be ambassadors, just like Amir, who was traveling to Kazan, was for these to Kazan in Tatarstan was for these kids. And obviously, it's important that wherever we are playing ambassadors for our communities and our projects and helping each other. Which means that we need to be able and ready to pass the ownership of our projects to all stakeholders as well, be it in NGOs, be it in businesses, be it in governments, be it in education, whatever, and that's probably the challenge that my successor and those who would follow will continue addressing and giving us hope. And I guess concluding my rather long speech, I would like to have the last slide, which means that whatever we are sometimes forced to deal with, or the emotions, etc., are the reverse side of excitement. So it's easy to remember that whenever we are a bit overburdened and possibly stressed, that we can just allow these feelings to, I guess, change the sign and remember that, well, we are in an exciting endeavor. Thank you very much, Jimmy. Having said that, we have all went through the stress, all the previous and excitement, all the previous Wikimedians of the year have successfully completed their mission. I will be happy to pass this on and have the excitement.
Thank you.
Be passed to the next one.
Great. Okay. So now, for me, this is one of my favorite moments every year, where I get to introduce to you my choice for the 2019 Wikimeeting of the Year. This is a person who's recognized as a leader in their community and throughout the movement. She raised awareness of Tunisia's history and promoted the importance of history and education, even during periods of political evolution and turmoil in the country. Celebrated Tunisia's rich cultural heritage by preserving and sharing images through Wikilove's monuments and Wikimedia Commons. She's an inspiring leader in the movement, focused on nurturing and growing the Arab and African Wikimedian communities, which is, of course, incredibly important to us all. She was part of the organizing team for Wiki Arabia 2015 in Tunisia, Wiki Arabia Cairo 2017, and co-chair of last year's Wikimania Program Committee in Cape Town, and she currently serves as the vice chair of AFCOM, which is an incredibly crucial, pivotal role within the movement. I want to introduce you to the 2019 Wikimedia of the Year, Emna Mizuni. Woo! Emna, where is she? Yeah. Congratulations. Woo!
Hello. Oh, hello. That's a... Thank you, Isaac. I love you too. Yeah, I love you. I love you, every single person in this movement. Thank you, Jimmy. Thank you so much. So let me start with hello. Aloha in Hawaii. This is an incredible moment for many things. I was sitting there and I was reading one of the SDGs talking about reducing inequalities. And I think if we go through the recognition of this movement, we will find, like, I'm the second African, I guess. And also, I'm the third woman to be recognized as a Wikimedian of the Year. That's definitely another step that we're doing in the movement, but also that makes us see the unprivileged people in the movement. So, as Fred had said, it's going to be a burden. It's going to be a lovely burden. that I'll be taken for the next year. But definitely, as long as I have a voice, I'll be talking to the privileged people about the unprivileged people. And I'm super excited about this year for one thing. I'll be getting more support from other Wikimedians that I don't know yet, to reduce the inequalities within our movement, definitely, and to have more content about our cultures to Wikipedia. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Lovely. Okay, great. So one of the big themes of the conference this year is it's about outreach. It's about being open to the world. It's about, obviously, it's about the Sustainable Development Goals. Someone came up to me today and they said, "Oh, wow, you got a shirt just for your speech today." No, it's old and raggedy. I actually wear this shirt all the time, as I'm a huge proponent and advocate of the goals, and in particular Goal 4, which is incredibly and obviously relevant to us, quality education, but actually all of the goals, as other people have noted, intersect with our work, or we can have some ability to help move the planet forward in a positive way using the goals. And one of the things that I think is incredibly important to us is to grow the movement, to bring more people in to the world of Wikipedia, the world of Wikimedia. And in order to do that, we always have to remember that civility is a core value for Wikipedia and for Wikimedia in general. Woo, someone clapped. And, you know, this is not something that you should be surprised to hear me talk about, because it's something that I've talked about for many, many years. I went and looked, and oh yeah, before I talk about how we've talked about it and things that we've done in the past and things we can do in the future, I just want to say we should remember, whenever we're talking about civility and kindness in the Wikipedia movement, that we are already a beacon of civil discourse and positivity in a world full of incredible vitriol and poison. You know, I used to think, I'm so old, I used to think that Usenet was bad. But technology and technology companies always seem to be able to improve even on badness, and so then they invented Twitter, which is even worse. And we're different. We're a place where we have always had as a core value the idea of no personal attacks. And you know, this is something that's not new. This is it's a conversation that we've been having for many, many years. Let's make sure that Wikipedia is a welcoming environment. How do we bring new people in? How do we make people feel happy and secure contributing? And one of the classic problems we have, this is something I said at Wikimania 2012, and I didn't really realize how popular this was going to be, that a classic problem we have, of course, is the annoying user, who at least allegedly produces good content, and they have a reputation for that, but they also have a reputation for being incredibly toxic personalities. And this is a really tough issue. And my position has been, we're making a big mistake if we tolerate people who are causing enormous problems in the community, which we normally don't do. If you come into the community and you just start yelling at people and causing trouble, well, as we all know, you work in Wikipedia, people get blocked, people get banned all the time if they can't really behave themselves properly. But sometimes when people are productive users in other ways, we have a really tough problem, and we really have to struggle with that. So how do we move forward? And I do think this is an issue that we all should focus on in the community, to think about how do we grow stronger as a movement? How do we become more welcoming, more safe, more secure for more people? There's clearly cases where it's better for staff to deal with these issues. We all know that there are some people out there who are actually making threats, or there's legal issues and things like that. Staff can deal with those, and that's really important. But the best way is for us in the community to find ways to strengthen the good people, the best people in the community, to be able to deal with incivility. We need to work with support from the foundation in task forces and strategy sessions within each community, not just the incredible, amazing work that I'm extremely excited about of our strategy project and all of the working groups that have come together here. I'm a massive supporter of that, but not just that. I mean, in every language, we need to come together, convene, and say, what are our big picture issues? What are our problems? What are the things that we could do better to be more welcoming to a more diverse community? We want to strengthen the ability of the community to deal with these issues, and the foundation, of course, is here to support us in that work. That is one of the fundamental roles of the foundation, is to help the community become better, to become stronger. And so this is something that I'm very passionate about, and I hope that we all take away from Wikimania a renewed excitement and a renewed commitment to bringing more people into the movement, of making sure that they feel welcomed and that it's a safe place for them to be. Of course, as a part of this coming together, people acting in good faith can still come into conflict. Conflict can be hurtful, painful. When I say something about we've got problematic users who are producing good content but are toxic for people, the reason that's really hard is because people can disagree. It's really hard to figure out what to do in some of these cases. Is this borderline bad behavior with incredibly good content? Is it borderline content with incredibly bad behavior? You know, all of these things are very hard to judge. But it's really important to remember, as we're having discussions around this, as we're thinking about what to do, how do we improve our rules? How do we improve the ability for quality administrators to deal with issues? To remember, we're all on the same side. The common enemy here is toxic behavior, which is making it harder to build the encyclopedia, and the common goal is the encyclopedia. The common goal is what has all brought us all together. And when I say the encyclopedia, I'm being very Wikipedia-centric, but you know what I mean? It's free knowledge for everyone. This is something I said in 2005, and I was very clever back then. So I just quote myself from a long time ago. That way I don't have to think of anything new. Wikipedia is first and foremost an effort to create and distribute a free encyclopedia of the highest possible quality to every single person on the planet in their own language. Asking whether the community comes before or after this goal is really asking the wrong question. It's the entire purpose of this community is precisely this goal. And so for me, this is something to come back to again and again. We know what it is we're together to accomplish. Obviously, this was written in a time when it was largely all about Wikipedia. Now we're the broader Wikimedia movement, but the same spirit is still there. We have a goal, free knowledge for everyone, and it isn't a question of who comes first and all that. It's a question of how do we best accomplish that goal. So as our movement continues to grow and expand, our potential for impact is even greater. New people are the key to our future and the sustainability of our movement. And so I think everybody should remember, what was the moment that brought you into the movement? I mean, that's a really, for many people, they love to tell the story of how, they first made one small edit as an anonymous. Actually, I've met a few really good contributors whose first edit was vandalism, and then somebody said, "Why are you doing that?" And then they said to themselves, "Oh, I actually don't know why." Maybe I should contribute to Wikipedia, and they became amazing contributors later on. It's an amazing thing to be able to introduce our movement to new people, and it's something that I find great fun and very exciting. New people bring new perspectives, new ideas, and more knowledge for us all. And there are new people joining us every month. You often have a bit of a negative hangover of a view of the time, we reached this incredible peak of contribution, and then it tapered off to some extent. I never thought that was a huge, massive problem, something to keep an eye on. I care more about having quality Wikipedians than simply increasing our numbers blindly. But the truth is we've now had about 10 straight months of year-on-year growth in new active editors. Overall, we have, and this actually statistic is the first time I had heard this, is when they told me this the other day. We have about 80,000 active editors per month. That's been pretty stable for quite a long time. That's 5 or more edits. But of these 80,000, on average, 18,000 are totally new to the project. I did not realize that. So that means about 1 in 4 of the active editors are new. So there's a lot of new editors coming in, and what we want to do is encourage them to stay, encourage them to improve their skills, encourage them to become fantastic Wikipedians, to welcome them, to invite them in. And we should all ask ourselves, what can we do to help that number grow? How do we communicate to people, this is a place for you, this is a welcoming place, this is an open place. What you know is as important as what we know. Please bring it in. So that's my remarks for the year. No surprises, eh? And so now we do the fun part, which is about how many Wikimanias you've been to, which this year is the 15th annual Wikimania. And so I'm going to do it in reverse order from what I usually do. I'm going to start out by saying, how many of you have been to at least 15 Wikimanias? So I believe there's Andrew Lee, SJ, James Forrester, and me. Is it 4 of us? 4 of us still standing. Amazing. And so I was going to skip very quickly, and don't worry, I will skip a few of the years. This could be tedious if I go through all 15 years. But I realize there's actually a fair number of people who have been here for 14 Wikimanias, which usually they've got a very good excuse for that one year they missed. So let's have everybody who's been up here for at least 14 Wikimanias. Woo. Yeah. Anter, Phoebe, yeah. Lovely. But now, because I could be here for hours and it gets a little boring, I am going to skip a little bit through a few of the numbers. But how many have been here for 10? That's a real milestone. How many people? 10 Wikimanias. Wow. 10 or more. 10 or more. Yeah. 5 or more? So what's really great about this is if you look around, you see there's a lot of us who've been here a long time, but there's also a lot of us who are still fairly new, although, I mean, 5 years of Wikimania is quite a lot. So let's just skip to 2. How many is it your second Wikimania? Oh, wow. Second or more, yeah. And then finally, and this will be the end of my talk, so I want us to give a big round of applause to everybody who has attended at least one Wikimania. Stand up. Woo! This is for all of us. All right. That's all I've got. Thank you. I'll pass the mic over, or the clicker.
And then video and then me.
Okay. Thank you so much, Jimmy. And thank you, Farad. And congratulations, Emna. That's so deserving. Yeah, please give her a round of applause again. Come on, yes, great. So as Jimmy was saying, this has already been the 15th year of Wikimania. And now I would like to introduce to the stage the group that's going to continue with this great journey. I would like you to welcome the group from the wonderful team that represent the East, Southeast Asia, and Pacific, led by Butch Pastria. Thank you.
Last August, I flew to Frankfurt am Main, Germany for my first encounter with Wikimania. Here, at a local youth hostel, hundreds of people from dozens of countries gathered for a week's worth of conferences, conversation, and conviviality, all united by one goal: creating a free online encyclopedia in every language on Earth.
And Florence has been a very...
Thank you very much.
Is everyone
afternoon. I'm Butch Bustria, Manila Delinquent. So, but I would like to introduce the team of the East and Southeast Asia. I need to memorize them because they're check them because I don't want to miss a country. Indonesia, Taiwan. Please come up stage, please. Sorry. Australia, Korea. The next host city, Thailand. Me for Philippines. Malaysia, Hong Kong, Japan, and New Zealand. And Korea. So it's been 15 years of Wikimania. So some of us become wiser, stronger, had more network. Some have maybe new partners like Siska and John. So Australia and Indonesia. And we're very proud when this was brought to us that this will be a first regional collaborative that we will be having a shared responsibility. And I would like to give the floor to Athikun, who will explain Thailand, Bangkok specifically.
So I would like to begin by thank you the Swedish chapter, all the volunteers, and the Wikimedia Foundation for hosting such a wonderful Wikimania. But we here on the stage, the ECAP team, we are talking about the future. And next year, we are taking all of you 8,000 kilometers southeast of Stockholm. Next slide, please.
Next slide.
Anyone?
Oh, sorry.
To Bangkok.
No. Oh, you can.
So I'm not going to spoil you or anything, but I would like to give you some interesting facts about Bangkok. Next slide. So this image, this image has been viral for a while, that Bangkok is somehow closer to the sun than the Earth itself. And as a matter of fact, Bangkok is the hottest capital city on Earth.
That picture? What the picture means?
With average temperature being around 30 degrees Celsius. And it can be up to 40 degrees Celsius in March or April, but during the time of Wikimania in August, it's not that bad. But the thing we need to worry is about the unpredictable rain, which is enormous, the monsoon season. Anyway, for the fact that we are a tropical country, it's very hot, but in exchange for that, we have very rich natural resources on land and marine. So there are 150 national parks for you to explore. Next one. Oh, now I can finally click. And there are 5 heritage sites recognized by the UNESCO, all in Thailand. The historic towns of Ayutthaya, Sukhothai, the archaeological sites of Ban Chiang, for example, and there are many other sites. So please, when you come to Wikimania, spend a few times extra to explore all these interests. Where should I supposed to click? The green one. Okay. Yeah, and
Pad Thai! Oh!
the most famous thing about Thailand is food. All the famous dishes, pad thai, tom yum, is very famous. Som tam is the papaya salad. It's very tasty. Or even fried crickets. And in Sweden, here they've got surströmming. In Thailand, we got something very similar. It's called plara, which is basically fermented fish. But I will leave it to your judgment which one is better or worse. And unlike previous Wikimania, so this is the first time in history that a Wikimania is organized by a collaborative effort. So I will pass on the mic to my colleagues, just to let them give a few words.
Hilun.
Oh, yeah, hello.
She's from Indonesia.
Hello, I'm Hilun. I'm from Indonesia. I'm representing all countries here from Asia regions. I want to say thank you for the opportunities to host Wikimania 2020 in Bangkok, Thailand. This opportunity is a good opportunity for us to show you the closeness of countries in Asia to succeed the Wikimania 2020 in Bangkok. It's the first Wikimania in the Southeast Asia. Yeah, is this right? The first time? Yeah. Yeah. And so we would gladly welcome you to Wikimania 2020 in Thailand. I hope you going there and get new experience in the Thailand. Okay, that's it.
And Robert from Australia.
It's certainly a very big experience for us to be working in a collaborative effort. Previously, we've been with the ESIAP conference that was held in Bali, which was a fantastic experience, although it was on a smaller event on a smaller scale. So with this, it's actually excellent to have all of the region come together as one to bring on a new event, which is what we hope to be different to previous Wikimanias. So, of course, Australia is extremely happy to be part of this, and we welcome you in Bangkok in 2020.
Thank you, Stockholm, and see you in Bangkok. Not one day, but how many days? 5 days. Yeah. Thank you.
Hey everyone, I am so excited for Wikimania in Bangkok. This is going to be incredible. Thank you to the whole ECAP community for making this possible on behalf of the movement. So this is always an incredible event, an amazing Wikimania. I know I always leave feeling both energized and also like I have a cold coming on. So I want you all to get on planes and trains and take care of yourself over the next few days. Over the course of the last 3 days, I'm sure you've had lots of different conversations that really bring home the breadth and diversity of what's going on in our movement. I've talked to people about the future of Wikidata, about what we can do to support healthy communities, including the proposal for a conference dedicated to training people on safety, civility, and welcoming communities. I love that idea. Tools for misinformation, what we can do to support our functionaries in their work. The Coolest Tool Award. Oh yeah, give it up for the functionaries, can we? Yes? I mean, As much as anyone, they make this whole thing possible. The coolest tool award, I don't know if, yes, I think it was 13 million dead links, is that right? I'm looking for you, Mark. 13.8 million, but who is counting as the Internet Archive has crawled all of the projects to identify dead links that they can make turn blue again? Diversity models and our challenges. What are the things that we in the movement face that are unique to the movement versus those things that reflect the biases and challenges in the world, and how do we adapt and engage with that? So just a total, I mean, those are just like 4 of the things that I've talked about in the last 24 hours alone. So it's been a great Wikimania, and I hope your experiences have been similar. I want to say a huge thank you not just to the ECAP team that is pointing the way to our future, but also to the folks who organized Wikimania Stockholm. So thank you first to the program committee for pulling this off at this size and scale. No matter where you were on the campus of this university, I hope you were able to wander into a session and learn something new. Thank you. I want to thank our partners and sponsors, including the university, for having us all here, the Nordic Museum, where we're going to have a beautiful party this evening, City Hall for welcoming us, and the Barbershop Choir, which sang for all of us in City Hall. There's a really cool story about that. Find Liam Wyatt if you want to understand why their community is actually really creepily similar to our community in all of the things that they talk about. It was like shocking. And of course, Wikimedia Sweden, thank you for putting this all together. My only regret is that I didn't get to try surströmming. Sorry. So this conference theme was sustainability. We heard from partners and experts, community members and collaborators about the work that they are doing around the Sustainable Development Goals. And I know for myself, my biggest insight of coming into this Wikimania to talk about the SDGs was that Wikimedia doesn't neatly fit, into these boxes behind me. In fact, we encompass all of the goals. We're in each of the Wikimania or the SDGs, and they're in all of us. All of the things that you want to learn about and know about how to achieve these goals on behalf of our planet and our communities can be found in Wikimedia. And if it can't be found yet, then what are you doing? Get to it. Start writing. Which was a joke. But it is the case that our missions and our futures, I think, are inextricably linked. I said the other day up on stage this past Friday that it is no coincidence in my mind that Wikimania 2030 is Wikimedia 2030. We have a horizon until 2030, and the Sustainable Development Goals are also rooted in a goal horizon of 2030. I think the reason for that is when you look 10 years out into the future, it allows us the space to imagine a world that is different and better than the one that we're in today. It gives us the freedom to think not just about tomorrow, but into the future that we want to build and want to create. And so that's what we're going through in our community, but it's also something that we're doing with the world as a whole. And as, of course, this weekend has shown us, and as our work as Wikimedians show us, this isn't the sort of thing we can do alone. Goal 17 is partnerships. And partnerships and collaboration are something that has been such a huge part of this movement, such a huge part of our goals ever since we got started. Wikimania, of course, is a time where we come together to remind ourselves of that, about what we can do when we all work together, not just behind our screens, but in face-to-face, in person, and have these conversations. Somebody was actually saying, you know, they were in the strategy space earlier today, and they were like, yeah, we had a pretty tense conversation on resource allocation. And I said, tense is fine. As long as people were polite and respectful, we can have differences of opinion. It's in the difference of opinion where we can have conversations and try to understand one another's perspectives. As long as we respect those perspectives, that actually can allow us to spark something new, a new understanding from those two understandings. And if you think about it, that's actually the way that Wikipedia, when it's at its best, that's how it works. So if there is a message from this weekend, I think, it is in fact that it's a pretty urgent moment for the world. You know, Wikimedia, while we have our challenges, it is a pretty positive space. There's a lot of positive energy in this room. There's a lot of positive energy in the sessions because we're here to do good for the world. We're all here aligned around this sort of common mission. And, friction in our movement, it is normal. As I think Jimmy said, we want to reduce toxicity, and I think there's absolutely no place for harassment in our projects. Wow. This is why you are all movement leaders, and you are going to build the Wikimedia that we want to see in the world. It is the case that we bring different ideas together. As I said, that healthy tension. I didn't attend, but I was in a session very briefly before I had to step out for something else, because that's Wikimania, and that's kind of how it is, run by Vera Crick from Wikimedia Deutschland, who talked about how you actually move from conflict to constructive conflict, how it is that we come together across these differences to build something strong. And then before every Wikimania, the Board of Trustees of the Wikimedia Foundation has a meeting. At the meeting this year, we talked about the nature of how we build trust. And it was actually it was something I hadn't really thought about before. It was a pretty simple formula. And, maybe it's the wrong formula, but every sort of model has its use. What our facilitator described to us is trust is built through a combination of two factors, right? You've got how good are you at doing something, how skilled are you, and how much do you care about that thing that you do. So when you've got care and skill together, that engenders trust. That's like when I go to the doctor. Hopefully they care and they're quite skilled. I hope both of those conditions are true. Sometimes you have care, but you don't necessarily have skill. So I think about when my parents are trying to help me learn something new. They may not understand what it is that we're trying to do together, but I trust them. I know they care for me. And so I'm more likely to trust them even if the care is high, even if the skill's a little bit low. And then when you don't care at all and you've got someone who's really skilled, that can actually be a little bit scary because you don't really know what their intention are. And then in the other quadrant about skill and no care and no skill, well, I don't think we have many of people in this room who fall into that category. So if trust is built out of the combination of skill and care, I think that sets us up really well as a movement because there's a lot of skill in this room. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't have been able to create Wikimedia as it is today. And there's also a lot of passion and care in this room. So I know looking out into this audience, we may not always agree about all the same things, but I trust you all. I really do. And I think that's really important because if our movement is a space of good people filled with good intentions, we also need to acknowledge that we live in difficult times, and I think that's true for a lot of folks in the world. And we're living in a world in which trust is actually something that we don't have as much of as I think we need, right? So as we look around and think about trust in information, there's questions around this. Trust in institutions, we're having increasing questions about this. Trust in governance, common consensus, this idea that that's losing currency, that open platforms and open commons are things that can be exploited and manipulated, that even our values of neutrality and the right to people to participate in making choices are being called into question. I think that's a scary thing. And governments, are talking about them moving towards censorship and thinking about isolation as a tool of control, losing the collective knowledge and experience of entire countries. I hope that we can take a moment to acknowledge that we have some Turkish Wikimedians in the room today. Yes. The Turkish Wikimedians are here, members of our movement, showing their passion, showing their care, and showing their skill, because they believe in the movement despite the fact that Wikimedia has been blocked in Turkey for 2 years now. So I know one of the things that I've heard from members of that community is sometimes it feels a little bit isolating. And I hope that if you are in this room, because I know not everybody is here, if our Turkish Wikimedians are here in this room, I hope that you felt that applause as a reminder that you are not isolated, that we care very much, that we miss Turkey as a community, and we are going to be here for you alongside that fight until you're back in the community. And free knowledge is again accessible for people in Turkey. Excellent. And of course, there are other challenges too that are happening in the world. I think that we are often aware of the things that are in the headlines. For example, the community, the folks in Hong Kong who are right now engaged in their own conversation about openness and what that means for an entire nation. The idea that there are challenges that we see that are out in the public often hides the fact that many of us have challenges in our private lives too. So I want to also take a moment to acknowledge the hard work and the personal struggles that people often bring into the movement and creating the safe spaces for people who are going through difficult times, people who are coping with mental illness, people who bring that note into this community. I hope that you also feel recognized and feel as though this is a space that can support you and that we can make space for that. I think that's really important, to be able to recognize the personal challenges in our lives as well as the public challenges that we all face, because we have to work through all of this in order to be here as Wikimedians. So this should be a place that supports you and elevates you and is a place of care for you as well. So this is a room full of optimists. What gets me out of bed every day is the idea that we can change the world, because of course you all already have. And I want to celebrate some of our major successes. So first of all, I'm going to have to run through this. It's going to be a long list. Bear with me. Hold your applause to the end. Our amazing affiliate community that has continued to grow. As of June of this year, we now have more than 150 affiliates around the world. And at this Wikimania, I met a member of our newest Wikimedia affiliate, not newest, one of our newest, one of the members of Wikimedia du Benin, which is one of our newest African affiliates, which joins 4 or 5 other African groups, including the Tamazight community, the Yoruba community, the Hausa community, the Ghanaian community, the Congolese community, and the Chadian community. Wait, don't applaud yet. There are more community groups coming. As well as outside of the continent of Africa, Hong Kong, Vietnam, the Tatar community, the Albanian community, the Slovenian community, Peruvian, Bolivian, Caribbean, Brazilian, Goan, Marathi, Keralan, I don't know if that's right, from Kerala, the Indian Technical Group, the Gender Diversity Visibility Group, Afro Crowd, the Wikimedian in Residence Network, the Asian Month Group, Mujeres Latinoamericos, the offline community, the Wiki Classics community, and the Black Lunch Table Wikimedian user groups, all in this year. Wait, hold your applause. As well as our second ever thematic organization, Wikimedia Medicine, and our newest chapters, Wikimedia Colombia and Wikimedia Korea. Congratulations to you all. Hold on. Wikimedia Thailand. So I want to take a moment to just tell you a little bit about Wikimedia Korea, because although we do have 2 new chapters this year, Wikimedia Korea was the first new chapter in 4 years. It first came together as a user group in 2014, and they have helped grow Korean Wikipedia to nearly 500,000 articles with more than 70 million page views every single month. They have hosted edit-a-thons to develop more content, particularly around science and technology, and they've developed relationships with leading Korean universities such as Ulchi and Dankook University. Ulchi? Okay, Ulchi. We're going to learn. And with this growth, I think, comes an increased recognition for our roles and advocates as stewards of free knowledge all around the globe. I think also we've seen this past year show us that this role can take many different forms. So after a disastrous fire struck the National Museum of Brazil, longtime Wikimedia editors, as well as first-time editors, came together to launch a campaign to collect images about the building and the collection within it. And within just 3 days, more than 2,000 images of the museum before the fire were uploaded, building tools built by Brazilian Wikimedians themselves. This tragedy is yet another reminder of the urgency that we have in collecting the world's information, the sum of all knowledge, as was the fire at the Cathedral of Notre Dame only a few months later. Of course, some of our contributors also live in places that don't allow open access to information, as I just mentioned, the challenges of Turkey, but places where seeking free information itself, the act is a radical idea. So we, over the course of the past year, have been working as a foundation, working with community groups around the world to think about how we can protect their freedom of expression and their right to freedom of inquiry. I mention this because in the case of Turkey, we filed at the European Court of Human Rights this past year, and the court has agreed to hear our case against the government of Turkey and their block of Wikipedia. I think this represents an important recognition of the threat of growing government surveillance and the importance and the real nature of the struggle for free knowledge, how it has a real impact on people's lives. And of course, on this theme, this past Friday, here at Wikimania, we announced a partnership between the UN Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights and the Wikimedia community that grows out of the incredible work done in our Latin American communities, initiated by Wikimedia Argentina with their work around Wiki Derechos Humanos, which is about recognizing, yes, about recognizing the history of not just Argentina, but other countries around the region in the past in the fight for human rights, but also very much so in the present. So we'll be working with the United Nations to open up critical resources about those foundational rights. Our Wikimedians continue to also be recognized around the world for the incredible work they do. So Farhad, Emna, congratulations on your recognition here. That's amazing. Yes, another round of applause. Why not? Let's do it. But also Wikimedia Foundation engineer and longtime Wikimedian Santosh Tottengal was honored this year on Indian Independence Day by the President of India for his contributions to classical Malayalam. Congratulations, Santosh. And if you are somebody who works in a right-to-left language, for example, Santosh is one of the principal engineers who makes that possible. So thank you so much for all of his work. Editatona, which is Wikimedia Mexico's initiative to reduce the gender gap on Wikimedia projects, won the 2018 Premio del Fondo Regional para la Innovación Digital en América Latina y el Caribe. I'm so sorry. I'm trying. It's called Frida, apparently. I can call it Frida, which recognizes efforts made in Mexico to achieve a larger presence of women on Wikipedia, with volunteers working across different institutions and allies. And since the first event in 2015, dozens of other events have happened in countries like Spain, Brazil, Guatemala, Ecuador, and Uruguay. So they're pretty awesome. Translators out there deserve special recognition. This year, the content translation tool across various Wikipedias was used to contribute. We crossed the line. More than 500,000 articles have been translated and added to various Wikipedias. I particularly love the example of the Bashkir grandmas, a group of older women, mostly from rural areas in the Bashkortostan region of Russia. Since 2016, they have been translating articles from Russian to Bashkir, making Bashkir among the top 20 in the number of published translations. So give it up to the grandmas. And since 2019, the language with the largest number of translations per week was Vietnamese, with more than 1,000 translations each month, not because of a special event, but because of some very special editors. 23% more translations have been created this year compared to last year, and about 400 translations on average every single day. So that's pretty cool, you polyglots. Keep it coming. The integration of Wikidata and Wikimedia Commons for structured data on Commons has made it possible to describe any media on Commons using information from Wikidata. So now people who speak different languages, as well as the machines, who I don't really know what language they speak, can all share knowledge, edit and reuse it, and remix it in some pretty powerful ways. And I think that this example is a great example of partnership across our movement, what we can do when we work together as community members, as movement organizations, as affiliates. The rest of the movement, after Wikimedia Deutschland and the Foundation worked together to do some of the engineering, has jumped in to talk about ontology, to create common-specific properties, write migration bots, and introduce a mobile search feature. So today, Commons has 1.63 million files with at least one piece of structured data. And I encourage you all to go home and watch that number grow. Don't watch it, make it grow. That's what I meant to say. And if you're a volunteer who edits on your mobile phone, I hope you've seen some new features over the course of the past year to make editing on mobile more similar and powerful, like editing on a computer. So after talking to editors about what they needed for most in mobile editing, we at the Foundation have started rolling out some advanced editing tools to the mobile website. And we've actually seen mobile editing increase pretty dramatically on both the mobile site and the apps. So if you haven't tried it yet, give it a try, pretty cool. If you have issues or challenges, come talk to someone at the Foundation. We'd love to hear what's bugging you and how we can fix it. All right, I can't step off. Oh yeah, no, let's do that too. That's great, yep, okay. I was gonna say, I can't step off this stage without talking about movement strategy. In the background of all of these achievements and changes and recognitions that have been going on across our global movement, the movement itself has been evolving, right? So you heard we're already bigger and more diverse and more encompassing of different forms of knowledge. All of those recognitions are a part of this. Our movement strategy is actually, I think, really about acknowledging that change and responding to it. So I'm going to steal a quote from Lisa Lewin, who is one of the members of our board of trustees, that really summed up for me what strategy actually is. Strategy is the sum total of the decisions and trade-offs, the challenge, where we choose one thing over another. An organization, or in our case, a movement, makes to reach its desired goals given external and internal opportunities and constraints. That's a pretty sort of technical definition, but I really like it because what it tells us is that we're going to have to make decisions and we're going to have to make trade-offs at times. We're going to have to make those in the context of the world around us and the world in which we live in Wikimedia. And that's going to, as I said, there might be tension associated in that. And we may have conversations that are a little bit difficult. But because I think this movement has demonstrated so amply that we can also do that from a space of trust, I have a great deal of hope for what we can do together. Because we have a very ambitious goal. It is about building the encyclopedia, and it is also about building beyond the encyclopedia, as Jimmy said earlier. It is about free knowledge for the world, and that future is not inevitable. It is actually something that we have to get up and recommit to every single day. We have to be active and intentional about the choices that we make and the future of the movement that we want to create. We have to think about the sustainability of our communities and our projects, not only what they do to endure, but how can they thrive. We have to, as Farhad said, think about the sustainability of ourselves. That's an important piece of this community too. How do we keep the health and growth of our movement? And perhaps more importantly, how do we do this in a way that stays true to our principles of collaboration, participation, and transparency? So, it's a pretty tall order we've got out there. And over the past year, the members of the 9 working groups from different communities around the world have really gotten into this and explored this. And I hope you had chances to stop by the strategy space. Last time I walked by, they were carrying additional chairs in because there wasn't enough space. So I think that that's a good sign. They hosted 39 strategy salons in 33 countries over the course of the past year to introduce this idea of movement strategy, but also to hear back about your priorities. And then they published the recommendations from these working groups on Wiki, from advocacy to supporting healthy communities. And those recommendations are pretty wide-ranging, some short-term changes, some really long-term sort of horizon questions. And again, we're not always going to agree on all of them. Some of them we think are really strong. Some of them we think need a little bit more work. But that is where this community is often at its best, is bringing different ideas together to find commonality in them and to spark new ideas and create new things. They have every entry points for everyone, and they represent a tremendous amount of work and collaboration. So I think I'm going to encourage all of you, as you know, to lend your voices to this conversation about where we want to be. Because I know that if anything about Wikipedians, you all have many thoughts and opinions and are not shy about sharing it. And I think that is wonderful. As stewards of free knowledge, we focus on accuracy, on doing our homework, on finding quality information backed up by other sources. We prioritize quality over quickness, and we believe in getting it right rather than being first. And I think that that is also true with the movement strategy work, which is why we've invested this time to consult and brainstorm and hold these meetings around the world. So those on-wiki debates, the process itself, the discussions, and that trust, again, coming back to this theme of trust, that we have had to build by iterating, by disagreeing with one another, but understanding that we're both coming from a place of great care and often a tremendous amount of skill, is what matters. That's what's going to get us to 2030 and beyond. And it's why I'm so excited for the future ahead. All of us in this room are Wikimedians. You don't sit on your laurels. You are always looking for the next thing, whether it's the edit that's missing or the knowledge gap that needs to be filled. Your passion is what drives this movement forward. It is a definition of a movement. It is constantly dynamic and evolving. And that is why it is our time to be intentional about our purpose as we go into the world. I am completely in awe of the generosity and spirit of the people in this room. When I have the chance to talk to people who are outside the movement, I often tell them that Wikipedia runs on human generosity because you are generous to your core, with your knowledge, with your skill, and with your care. The time and passion that you put into contributing to this movement and making sure that our communities are healthy and strong, increasingly diverse, you have built these absolutely remarkable projects, and I know that together we have the collective wisdom and experience to continue to build the future. We are now at a place, I think, in many ways as a movement, where we see ourselves as a movement. We look across the room and we recognize the Wikimedian. We may never have met them before, but we know what their values are and we identify with a common purpose. We have built strong shared values, often from day one. Many of our values have been the same since Jimmy first typed "Hello World." That's really important. If we return to our core values, it helps us also think about what are we look for in our future. I began by talking about trust, as I said, and I want to return to it. I know I've sort of interwoven it in. The trust that you have in this room today, as you look to the person sitting next to you, the first-time Wikimedian at their first Wikimania, the Wikimedians who have been to 15 Wikimanias now, I want you to bring that trust out into the world, because you know that other Wikimedians share that care, certainly in that skill. I want you to bring that trust back to your communities, to the countries that you live in, to the languages that you work in. And honestly, bring it back to the work that you do day to day. Bring it back to your school, bring it back to your place of work, and think about how we can build trust back into the world, because it's something that, as I said, that I think is missing often outside of these spaces. But it's something that is going to be so important for us to thrive. I want you all to be an ambassador for the world that we want to live in 2030. A Wikimedia 2030 world, but also a world that is more sustainable, more just, more equitable, more fair, more equal. You have built this community that we sit in with every single edit that you have made, every single action that you have taken, one at a time. You have built Wikipedia, you have built Wikimedia, and you have built a movement for free knowledge. With every single edit, you make Wikimedia different, which literally means, and this is so powerful, you literally make Wikimedia what you want it to be. We in this room and the broader community that we are a part of get to make Wikimedia what we want it to be. It is what we make of it. So let us make the world that we want. This movement belongs to you. Thank you so much, and I can't wait to see you again in Bangkok in 2020 and on the wikis between now and then. I think I forgot to go through a few slides.
No slides. Thank you so much, Catherine.
You're welcome.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Over to you.
Oh, no. Thank you so much, Catherine. That was really, really inspiring. Please, Eric, join me here. And Anas and Liam, will you please join us as well here? So first of all, I would like to say I really, really love the collaborative spirit that's happening for Wikimania next year. And if Wikimedia Sweden can be of any help and support in the same spirit, I would like to reach out and offer that to you guys. Please let us know if we can help in any way, shape, or form. speaking about collaboration, for us here in Stockholm, it would not have been possible to organize this event without all of the fantastic volunteers that we've had help from. They've been led by Liam White with the program share, and Nasser Dratti with the handling all of the, engaging all of the volunteers and finding good jobs and making it all happen. So please give them a big round of applause. They have been so fantastic to work with. Save some of your claps. Save some of your claps. So, save some of your claps because these guys they did a fantastic job, but they were not the only one. So I would like to welcome on the stage all of the volunteers that have been engaged in this conference. Please come join us. And all of the space leaders. All of you wonderful people that made this all happen. Come on, guys. Oh, that worked. I think the stage might break at any minute now. But is it everybody? Yeah, I think there's everybody. Oh no, still more people coming. Oh. So have a look, guys. This is what it takes to organize a Wikimania! Woo! Thank you all. Thank you so much, guys. You've done wonderful. We're so proud of you. Oh, you can stay on, please. So, I would really like to thank all of you for being here and all the volunteers, the partners, our sponsors, the supporters, the staff, Wikimania Sweden, and all of this amazing community. And before I let you go and get prepared for today's closing party that we have arranged at the Nordic Museum at 8 o'clock, I would just like to briefly once again come back to the 4 worries that I had in the beginning. And I just want to see how you think it turned out. So firstly, I was worried about the weather of Sweden. And the weather forecast, it was predicting rain. And I just want to see, did you guys think the weather was okay? Yeah? Okay, good. Okay, thank you. Oh, that's the first. So the second question, of course, how about the food? What did you guys think about surströmming? Let me hear if you like it. Okay, mixed reactions, but I'll take that. And I'm also really wondering, did you like the program? How was it set up? Did it work for you guys? Oh, wonderful. Awesome. So I really hope that this whole conference have inspired you to think about how the Sustainable Development Goals can affect your work and how you can work to help support them in the future. So thank you all once again. And I hope you all will be joining us in Thailand next year. Thank you.